Today, we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks for starting selling on Etsy or just some new ideas to help you with your Etsy business overall. Welcome to day 2 of Stitchmas. Stitchmas is my version of Vlogmas, where we will have 10 days of videos leading up to Christmas related to sewing and DIY related content. So today's is all about tips and tricks for helping you get started with Etsy or just to improve your Etsy store. Now, for those of you who don't know, I started selling on Etsy in 2012, where I sold these stuffed animal dogs as well as dog toys, and now I do digital patterns. So I've been on Etsy on and off for quite a while now. So my first tip is definitely going to be to do your research. And what I mean by that is look to see what other people are selling if it's something that you want to sell. Is there a large market for it? Is it something that everyone's already doing? So for example, one that is a large market are digital patterns or crochet scarves or knitted scarves. A lot of people are making scarves and they put them on Etsy. So how is your scarf going to stand out from someone else's store who already has a lot of sales? You have to figure out ways that you will have your items stand out from the competition. Now for these dogs, not a lot of people were making these dogs, so in one sense you can be like, well, that's great, there's an area for me in the market, but at the same time that may just mean that no one wants them. So you have to come up with different ways to get them to be attractive to customers, so such as using fun fabrics or funny names, just so that you can figure out how to get people drawn to your product. So really make sure you look into that and what you want to do with it. My advice number 2 is to understand your constraints. And what I mean by that is know your budget, understand how much space you have, and understand how much timing you have available to put into this. So with these dogs, for example, there's a lot of items that go into it. I have to deal with the stuffing, the fabric, the safety eyes, the safety nose, thread, the little items that I'm doing for decorations, for scrunchies. You have to think about the fabric and the elastic. And then you have to think of some place you're going to be storing these, for how much time it's going to take you to make one of these, to ship it out. There's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like especially when I first got started on Etsy, I was really just focused on making the dog, not taking care of how much it cost me to make the dog or how much it cost me to put it all together, and then just trying to ship it out, and I was just hoping someone would buy it. When in reality, I was probably actually losing money, and I'm sure at the very beginning, I did lose money on a lot of this because I was pricing them too low. So make sure you understand how much time you want to put into this. Also be sure you're thinking about how much space you need for the inventory, the items you need to make the inventory. That can take up a lot of room very quickly, and if you're in like a studio apartment, for example, you may not have that room. So just really be thinking about everything that goes into it. Now, my third piece of advice is to get creative with different marketing and items that you would use for your store. So for example, I used business cards to make the tags that would hang off the dog's ear, just so that people would know that they were something that I created. So I could just go to Target, Amazon, get a pack of business cards that I could put in my printer, and then only have to worry about making 10 or so at a time instead of having large bulk inventory. So this can be a little more expensive, like buying just one-off things instead of buying like 300 tags, which would be cheaper than only buying 10. But this way you don't have to have a ton of products, especially when you're first starting off. Now the same goes for shipping boxes. So as you can see, these dogs are pretty large. So I was having to get very creative with how I was going to ship them out. So when you are shipping a physical product, be sure that you are thinking about how you are going to be getting the boxes for it, any padding for it, what are you going to be using for that? And a lot of the times, especially when I first got started, I did not buy boxes. I would ask family and friends. Whenever I ordered something, I would keep the box around and then I would see if it would fit in there. So as you can see, these dogs are 2 different sizes, and so I would have to really keep lots of different size boxes on hand at all time. And that was another thing I would then have to think about: how I'm going to store, how am I going to keep all these boxes. So for example, boxes come in all different shapes and sizes. Some have packing material in them already. I would just save all of that so that I could figure out if any of my products would be able to go in it. So for example, sometimes people would buy a large amount of scrunchies, and this box would have been perfect for me to put all those scrunchies in. Now, if you are doing digital products, you do not have to worry about the shipping component or really having to keep all of these items around, but physical items, I would highly recommend keeping boxes on hand, especially when you first start. That way you don't have to worry about buying more boxes. And you could always put a note that like you use recycled products. Now, my fourth tip is specifically related to shipping, and that is to make sure you take into account shipping cost. Shipping is expensive, and especially depending on where you're shipping it to, you want to make sure that you're taking that into account. So shipping can take a long time. If you want to do priority mail, be sure that there is a tracking number on it. I highly recommend to always have a tracking number. You just don't know what's going to happen, and there have been times where, a dog that I had shipped out did get lost, and the customer is contacting you about, where is this dog, when is it going to be arriving, and having that shipping number and the insurance associated with it will help so that you're not taking as big of a loss, and you're able to be in contact with the customer about what's really happening with it. So just be sure if you are shipping that you're taking all these items into account, making sure that it's covering your shipping costs and you know where it's going. Then my last and final tip is with Etsy, be prepared for anything. Customers can ask some crazy questions. You also do need to protect yourself from scams. So just be sure you're doing your research, you're communicating with the customer, and you're putting all of the information that you have up front, and you should be good to go. If you enjoyed this video and you want more tips, be sure to let me know, and I will see you in the next video of Stitchmas. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.